welcome to another episode of Tips and Tricks with Kelly. Today we're going to talk about needles. Needles are disposable. These are consumables that you use in your machine, meaning that you will change it probably somewhat frequently. This is going to depend on a number of factors, including what you're working on. There are three major manufacturers of needles, and those are Schmetz, Organ, and Class A. As I said, these are consumables. When you dispose of them, I dispose of them in a little mint container. I like these mints. You see I've scribbled out the name. That is my indicator that it is no longer being used for mints. And this has the added benefit of being able to put your used rotary cutter blades in there for disposal. Needles come in different ways. For example, Schmetz puts them out as a 5-pack, or you can buy a 100-pack of Schmetz needles. Organ needles, you can buy a 10-pack or a 100-pack. Class A I'm not as familiar with, so I'm not quite sure how they come. Needle sizes, you'll see a lot marked like this. It'll be one number / another. What this is I would call this a 7511 needle. The 75 is the European size. The 11 is the American size. So it would be appropriate to call this a 7511, or being here in the US, you could also call this an 11. As I said, these are consumables. You will change them based on your project. Universal needles are what are most often used, and a fairly normal size to use would be an 8012 or a 7511. This is what you'll use for most fabrics. If you go down, say, to a 60/8 or a 70/10, these are usually finer fabrics. Examples, chiffon. If you have heavier fabrics, you're working with corduroys, gabardine, something like that, you'll go to a higher needle, 116 for example. As the numbers go up, the diameter of the needle is getting larger, so you're punching a bigger hole into the fabric. Then we get into types of needles. Universals are very good for most applications. However, if you're using a knit fabric, a jersey, a stretch, you really want to go to a ballpoint needle. The reason for this is, for example, if you've seen a woman put a hole in her stockings and it runs, it's because there's a hole. So you don't want to do that. With a knit fabric, you're going to use a ballpoint, and what it does is it pushes the fibers out of the way as opposed to tearing them. A metallic needle used with metallic threads has a larger eye, and this is going to reduce the friction on the metallic threads so that it doesn't break quite as easily. Embroidery needles, again, these have a larger eye. They also have a deeper groove in the needle. The reason for this is to reduce as much friction as possible, because embroidery machines tend to run very quickly, some as quick as 1,000 stitches a minute, so you really want to reduce that friction wherever you can. Topstitch needles. Topstitch needles are nice when you're doing top stitching. An example of that, everybody knows Levi's. They have a very distinct look to their jeans. They have the orange top stitching down the sides. Leather needles. Leather needles tend to be a thick needle and very sharp, because when you're sewing leather, you literally have to cut through the fibers. So they have a very sharp point. Note If you have an automatic needle threader on your machine, don't use it with anything smaller than a 7511 needle. The reason for this is most needle threaders are set for the eye to be in a certain place. When you have a needle that small, it tends to be in a little bit different place, so the threader can't quite get through it. All right. As always, I recommend you go and get your supplies at your local quilt shop, or if you don't have one, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to help you. And if you have any requests for videos, please leave them in the comments and we'll see if we can do that. Have a great day. Bye.